I used to believe that if I ate my vegetables, avoided sugar, and drank plenty of water, I'd be fine. At least, that's what all the books and doctors had always said. And for the most part, I did exactly that. So when I heard that my Aunt Marion, who was the picture of health at 74, had been rushed to the hospital with sudden high blood pressure and heart palpitations, I couldn't quite understand it. She walked every morning. She meditated. She even made her own almond milk. When I visited her a week later, she looked tired, like someone who had been let down by her own body. And I remember her saying this one thing that stayed with me ever since. I did everything right. But maybe I was doing it wrong without knowing. That sentence, it rattled me. Because how many of us, especially after 60, hold on to habits we believe are helping, only to find out later that they've been quietly working against us? The truth is, some of the so-called healthy foods we've been told to eat can have surprisingly negative effects on women over 60. Not because they're inherently bad, but because our bodies change and what nourished us at 40 may burden us at 70. Let me take you back to that afternoon at Aunt Marion's house. She had made us a simple salad with spinach, cherry tomatoes, and some canned tuna. It looked lovely just like always, but she pushed it away halfway through and said, "Would you believe this is one of the things my doctor told me to stop eating?" I blinked. Spinach. She shook her head. Not just spinach. It's more complicated. Apparently, for women our age, even some vegetables can mess with our mineral absorption. I didn't believe it, but I wrote it down. That night I couldn't sleep. I stayed up reading medical articles, nutritionist blogs, forums where older women shared their stories. And what I found made me pause. There are 5 foods we've long considered safe, or even beneficial, that can quietly harm women over 60. And the third one, well, that one truly shocked me. Not because it's rare, but because we've all probably eaten it today. In this video, I want to gently walk with you through those 5 foods. Not to scare you, but to share what I've learned, the same way I wish someone had shared with Aunt Marion a little earlier. Because the goal isn't to eat perfectly. The goal is to eat wisely, to listen to our bodies, and to honor the way they evolve with time. You don't have to change everything overnight. But if you've ever found yourself wondering why you feel more tired lately, why your digestion has changed, or why your skin seems more reactive despite your healthy habits, this might be where it all starts. I'm not a doctor. I'm just someone who watched a woman she loved start to fade because no one told her what might really be going on inside her plate. And now I'd like to tell you. Let's begin with the first food. The one I always thought was the safest bet on my plate. Turns out it's not so innocent after all. If someone had asked me what the healthiest food on earth was, I might have said spinach. It's been on our plates for decades. Popeye ate it. Nutritionists praised it. It's low in calories, high in vitamins, and easy to add to just about anything, from smoothies to soup. That's why I was surprised when Aunt Marion looked me straight in the eye and said, "Spinach was the first thing they told me to reduce. Not cut entirely. Just be careful with it." She could see the confusion in my face. She went on to explain how her doctor, a quiet man with kind eyes, had asked her if she'd ever felt bloated or unusually fatigued after meals. She had. He then asked about kidney function, calcium absorption, and a word she hadn't heard in a long time: oxalates. Oxalates are natural compounds found in some healthy foods, especially leafy greens like spinach, Swiss chard, and beet greens. They aren't dangerous for everyone, but in older women, particularly after menopause, oxalates can bind to calcium and interfere with how our bodies absorb it. Over time, this can increase the risk of kidney stones, bone loss, and even trigger inflammation. I remember thinking, why didn't I know this? Aunt Marion used to drink green smoothies every day. Her green goddess blend, she called it, was packed with spinach, kale, and a splash of almond milk. But in trying to nourish herself, she was unknowingly overloading her body with something it couldn't process efficiently anymore. And she wasn't alone. In the weeks that followed, I spoke with 3 other women in her age group, 2 of them teachers, 1 a retired nurse. All of them had heard whispers about oxalates, but none had been told clearly how it might affect older women specifically. That made me wonder, how many of us are still treating our 70-year-old bodies like they're 40? It's not about blaming spinach. It's about understanding how our needs shift over time. Spinach isn't bad. It's just that, after a certain age, it's wise to rotate your greens. Mix in arugula, romaine, butter lettuce, greens that are lower in oxalates. And maybe skip the raw spinach smoothies every single morning. You're not fragile, but your body does speak more softly now, and it asks for gentler things. There's a quiet kind of wisdom in learning to let go of habits that once served us but no longer do. Aunt Marion didn't stop eating greens. She just started listening to how they made her feel. She began steaming her spinach lightly, instead of eating it raw. She paid attention to how much her body needed, rather than how much she thought was healthy. And slowly her energy came back. Not in a dramatic movie scene kind of way, but in the quiet smile she gave the mirror every morning. In the way she stood straighter when we walked together. And how she said, one afternoon, "I feel like I've finally started eating for who I am now, not who I used to be." That stayed with me. Sometimes the foods that served us in one season are not the ones we need in the next. That doesn't mean we've done anything wrong. Just means we're growing. So if spinach was your go-to too, maybe it's time to listen in. To feel what your body feels, not what your habits tell you. And next, I'll share a food that I once believed was the perfect healthy fat for women over 60, but might actually be quietly burdening your liver and hormones more than you realize. There's a small ceramic jar that always sat in my pantry. It had a wooden spoon tucked inside, and a gold label that read, "Organic virgin coconut oil." I used it for everything. Stirring into oatmeal, roasting vegetables, even smoothing it over my hands before bed. Coconut oil made me feel like I was doing something right. Like I had finally cracked the code of modern aging. Healthy fat, clean eating, anti-inflammatory. So imagine my surprise when Aunt Marion told me she had stopped using it entirely. "It's just too much now," she said gently, stirring her herbal tea. "Too dense. My body can't handle it the way it used to." First, I thought she was overreacting. After all, isn't coconut oil good for the heart? Isn't it full of medium-chain triglycerides that fuel the brain and fight inflammation? Yes. And also no. Here's what her new nutritionist told her, and what I wish more of us were told after 60. While coconut oil is rich in healthy fats, it's also extremely high in saturated fat. For younger bodies, that might not be a problem, but in postmenopausal women, saturated fats can worsen cholesterol levels, disrupt hormonal balance, and strain the liver, especially if used daily and in excess. The truth is, aging changes not just how our bodies store fat, but how they process it. Our liver becomes more sensitive, our cardiovascular system less forgiving. Hormonal shifts make us more reactive to dietary fat in ways that are subtle, quiet, until they're not. Aunt Marion told me about her morning routine. How she used to add a spoonful of coconut oil to her coffee every day. Bulletproof, they called it. It made her feel sharp and trendy. But over time she began feeling sluggish. Her digestion slowed. Her annual checkup showed a spike in LDL cholesterol. Nothing too alarming, but enough to make her pause. She made one small change. Switching from coconut oil to extra virgin olive oil, used sparingly and only when cooking light meals. She also added more omega-3 sources, like flaxseed and walnuts, foods that nourish gently rather than overwhelm. The difference wasn't overnight, but over a few months her energy lifted again. Her skin felt less inflamed. Her weight stabilized. Most of all, she said, "I feel clearer, less heavy, like I'm not dragging around a body that doesn't understand what I'm feeding it." That line stayed with me, because we often think of healthy food as a checklist, something that's either good or bad, full stop. But the truth is more delicate than that. Sometimes a food is healthy, just not healthy for you anymore. And that's where wisdom comes in. It's not about demonizing coconut oil or any food, really. It's about watching how our bodies respond and having the courage to adjust, even if it means letting go of a trend we believed in. One of the most powerful things you can do after 60 is not just to eat less, but to eat lighter, slower, and wiser. So the next time you reach for that familiar healthy fat, maybe ask yourself, does this still serve me today? Or am I clinging to what once worked? In the next part, we'll talk about the most surprising food of all, one that doctors rarely warn about, but nearly every older woman I know has in her kitchen right now. It's sweet, comforting, and wrapped in the illusion of health. But it may be the very thing making you feel more tired, bloated, or anxious without even realizing it. There's something so comforting about yogurt. Maybe it's the way it feels cool and soft on the tongue. Maybe it's the idea that it's good for digestion. filled with calcium, wrapped in pretty packaging that promises health, youth, and glowing skin. And for years, Aunt Marion believed just that. Every morning at 7:30, she would open a little cup of fruit-flavored yogurt, strawberry, peach, blueberry. She'd eat it slowly while watching the garden bloom through her window. It was her gentle ritual, her moment of self-care, she used to call it. But one morning, after another night of restless sleep and that strange bloated feeling that had crept in over the past year, she decided to read the label on the back of the cup. Not just glance, really read it. And what she found shook her. 17 grams of sugar in one small serving. Sugar hiding behind words like evaporated cane juice, fruit concentrate, natural sweeteners, all in something she had trusted, something sold to her as healthy. It turns out, many women over 60 are unknowingly consuming far too much sugar. Not from cookies or cakes, but from foods that carry health halos. Yogurt, granola bars, flavored oatmeal, even plant-based milks labeled light or organic. Here's why that matters. As we age, our insulin sensitivity decreases. That means our bodies don't process sugar as efficiently. Even small amounts can cause energy crashes, mood swings, weight gain around the belly, and long-term inflammation that affects the heart, brain, and joints. But the real danger isn't just physical. It's emotional. Aunt Marion told me that after 70, she started feeling more anxious, but didn't know why. She'd wake up in the middle of the night with her heart racing, thoughts spiraling. She assumed it was age, hormones, loneliness, until she cut out those daily healthy sweetened yogurts. And slowly, almost quietly, her sleep improved. Her cravings dulled. The emotional fog began to lift. She didn't become someone new. She simply became more herself again. Now she still enjoys yogurt, but the plain unsweetened kind. She stirs in a handful of blueberries or a drizzle of cinnamon. She says it tastes better, somehow cleaner. Like something her body says thank you for. There's a kind of power in that, learning to taste the world again without all the sugar. And maybe that's the point of all this. We're not trying to become perfect, or strict, or fearful of food. We're just trying to come home to ourselves gently, wisely, and with love. So if you've made it this far, I want to leave you with one soft reminder. You are not too old to feel better. You are not too far along to start listening to your body more closely. You still deserve energy, clarity, peace in your gut, lightness in your chest. And all it might take is rethinking the foods you've trusted the most. You don't need to cut out everything. Just ask yourself, does this still serve me, or is it quietly slowing me down? You are wiser now. You know how to choose. And that, more than anything, is your superpower. So maybe tonight, when you sit down for dinner or open your fridge in the quiet of the afternoon, you'll pause just a moment longer. You'll look at what's on your plate. Not with guilt, not with rules, but with curiosity, with care. Because that's how change begins. And if this helped you breathe a little easier, helped you feel a little more in tune with yourself, you might want to join me next time. I'll be sharing 7 gentle daily habits that help women over 60 glow from the inside out. No pills, no creams. Just kindness to your own rhythm. Until then, take your time. You're already doing better than you think.